Is this how you draw eyes, but you want to improve your drawings? Girl or boy, I gotcha. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I don't know about you guys, but drawing eyes was one of my favorite things to do. I don't really know why, but it was just so interesting and fascinating. Eyes are just so pretty and fun to draw. Today I decided I will show you some do's and don'ts. Do's and don'ts sounds really weird when it comes to drawing eyes, so you can improve your drawings. There are tons of ways how you can draw eyes. This is just one of the ways. Let's start with the way you would usually draw an eye. You would create an oval shape kind of like this, draw the iris and the pupil, and maybe add some details to the iris as well. It's a good start, but in reality our eyes don't look like that if you look closely. So what you can do is draw a line and then start drawing another line that gets higher, kind of like a hill, and then slowly move the line downwards. When you move the line downwards, it shouldn't be too steep. The line should end more gradually. Next, you want to draw the front part of the eye below the guideline we just created by continuing the line and by making a curve backwards. Now continue drawing the line slightly downwards to create a similar line as on top, just mirrored. This time the lower part of the eye should be slightly wider than the top area. Add the guideline for the inner corner of the eye, and then we can move on to creating the actual eye shape. Since here the eye will look to the front, create a cross at the highest point of the eye shape. Now you can draw the pupil around the center we just created. Don't forget that there is also a waterline that we need to draw. Make the space between the lines not too wide. What a lot of people tend to forget when they draw eyes as well is that our iris is actually not completely visible. The eyelid actually covers a part of it. Now we can also draw the eye crease that goes above the eyeball like that. Make the space slightly smaller in the front, but remember that eyes are not perfect, so the crease doesn't have to have a perfect shape. Remove the guidelines and we can move on to shading and adding more details to the eye. Take a softer pencil and line out the iris and then draw lines all the way around the pupil like that. Move the pencil very softly over the paper so the lines are very thin. Don't worry about making perfect straight lines, by the way. This is just the base layer. Depending on where the light will fall onto the eye, add a small light reflection. Here I decided to add it to the right side and make it into this shape that kind of looks like a piece of a donut. Sometimes people draw just a small circle like that, but it's not always correct either. You always need to consider the curve of the eyeball and where the lights come from and how much of the reflection you can see. There's so many different ways how you can do it, and drawing reflections is actually very fun. Next, color in the pupil by using a soft pencil. You want to make the circle as dark as possible. Now you can move on to adding more details to the iris. Draw more lines inside by using a softer pencil and by pressing it down even more. But this time make them randomly. Add them starting from the pupil and from the outer edge of the iris to add a variety of longer and shorter lines all around the iris. Next, you want to add more dark areas and shadows below the eyelid and along the edge of the iris. Make sure the shadow blends softly into the rest of the iris. You only want to darken the top area. Draw along the edge to make the line darker, but at the same time you want to add more lines that are facing towards the pupil. It sounds really complicated when I try to explain it, so I hope the video will help you to understand what I mean. Now with a softer pencil we can make the areas even darker by pressing down the pencil even more. Make the shadow below the eyelid darker and the lines in the iris by creating more lines that same way as you did before. If you discover that something looks off while you draw, you can always fix it. I found that something looked weird with the eye even though I followed every rule I know, so I tried to fix it by erasing some of the upper part of the eye. You can also use an eraser to add reflections to the iris. I find this way the eye looks even more realistic. Now you can add even more details and more shadows to the eye. What a lot of people do is they draw the eyelashes not only the same size, but also just straight and from weird places. But before we can add any eyelashes, let's add some more shadows to make the eye more three-dimensional, as later it will be more difficult. First, I'm going to draw over the pencil lines again using a softer pencil, and also a little bit over the eye white in the inner and outer corner. There's so many ways how you can add shadows to the drawing, so let me know if you want to see an extra video about that to learn more about it. And now we can use a Q-tip to blend everything together. It's great if you don't have any special tools for blending and don't want to use your fingers either. If you overblend things, you can always erase the area and fix the lines. Even though I wasn't completely done with adding shadows, I moved on to the eyelashes. Now, remember that eyelashes grow in a curve, have different lengths, and also are thicker at the bottom. Start at the outer corner and add one eyelash after another. As you can see, the right part looks to the right. When I'm at the center, the eyelashes go up, and when I go to the left, the eyelashes look to the left. They also get shorter and shorter. You can also prolong the lines from the upper waterline so you see the curve over the eyeball to make the eyelashes look more realistic. And now we can draw the bottom eyelashes the same way, starting from the outer edge of the waterline. But this time they should be shorter. Also remember that eyelashes grow in different directions, so you can make a few eyelashes cross each other. Now let's focus on the eyebrows. Since there are so many different shapes, you can look them up on the internet and see what you prefer for your drawing. So for this drawing, I used the eye shape as a guideline, so I would start above the eye, somewhere around the inner corner, move up where the iris ends, and then move down again. I kind of followed the rules of how you would plug your eyebrows, so your drawing might look a bit different. In the end, I wasn't happy with the shape and changed it up multiple times, but that's okay. That's why we have an eraser, right? For the eyebrows, I started drawing the lines from the lower part upwards and moved along the lower line. You can go over again and add more lines slightly above so you create more dimension. So instead of just coloring the lines of the eyebrows, drawing the hair one by one makes a huge difference. Another detail you can add is the reflection of the eyelashes. Simply draw a few lines into the light reflection of the eye while mirroring the eyelashes above. And now you can play around with the drawing. You can add more shadows, you can add more outlines, and add more highlights by erasing a few areas to make the paper white again. A drawing or even a painting comes really to life when you create a contrast between dark and light. This is how it looks now, but still I wasn't very happy with the result, but that was okay. Even if you follow certain tutorials and guidelines, it still can look totally different. But you should remember that it's totally okay. I wasn't happy with the way the eyebrow looked and I thought something is wrong with the eye, so I just kept playing around with it. I added more shadows to the upper lid to create kind of like a smoky eye look, and I also added more shadows to the outer and inner corners of the eyes while keeping the waterline bright. You can also make the circle of the iris even thicker and add more eyelashes. Sometimes you don't like the way your drawing looks, but you can still add things, erase things, and try again. Sometimes you just need to play around with it a little bit more and figure out what might be off. And once you see an improvement, you see more clearly what else you can fix. What helps me a lot is taking a picture of the drawing or the painting and then look at it on my PC or on my phone. It gives you another perspective and it helps you find things you might have not noticed. I also decided to add more shadows underneath the eye by using the Q-tip that was already full of pencil, so it looks a bit more like the person is smiling. There are tons of ways how you can draw an eye. Sometimes you don't even need all these details I talked about. It always depends on your style, how large your drawing is, and so on. I just want to show you a few guidelines that might help you in the future, but also remind you to have fun drawing. Don't give up only because it doesn't look awesome yet. Just keep working on it, practice, so next time you already know what you can do better to improve your drawing. I really hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Let me know in the comments down below if you would like to see a similar video but about another body part or another thing you might struggle with, so I can help you out. Also, don't forget to give the video a big thumbs up if you liked it and found it helpful to support this channel. And if you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe for more arts and crafts related videos in the future. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a wonderful day and I will see you next week. Bye!